Alright, so I was actually planning on doing this video yesterday, but for whatever reason, everything decides to go wrong. So when it comes down to it, we gotta hopefully do this today. But mainly, I want to bring this up as an attention to the player's voice that has been at the Game Awards and people's reaction to it, because a lot of people don't like the 5 last games, quote unquote, that is actually there, because they just don't, obviously like the selection of it. You got Black Myth Wukong, you got Elden Ring's DLC, which why is it there? You got Genshin, which you can also question why is it there? You got Wuwa, and then you got ZZZ. Those are your games that is basically, there for existing within the player's voice stuff. So yeah, there's obviously plenty of reasons as to why. You can see why people are basically throwing crack on the streets and then just diving into it and then just basically going around and just screeching like a mad bird on crack. Like, it's easy to understand why, because some of the selections definitely doesn't necessarily come out in the 2020, and some of them ain't even considered, at least one of them, a game. But at the very same time, that is the selection that is there, and it's like people not necessarily having it. They're not necessarily enjoying it, honestly, right? And I do want to kind of talk about a few things as to why that is, and mainly more focus on the Genshin side of it, because that's really the only side of it I could truthfully focus on and give you a real reason as to why, and then just overall why is it here too. First things first, look at the game selection. All of these games are Eastern games. That tells you a lot, that there is not no Western game that's on here that actually is something that the players actually care for, right? The fact that Wukong is here, awesome, amazing. If it took the win, I'll be happy for it. If, ZZZ, which I highly doubt, would take the win, I'd also be happy for it, because, yeah, these kind of games that came out this year, that makes sense. Why is Genshin there? Why is Elden Ring here? That's a little weird. But, that's just, again, how it is. But for me, when it comes down to it, this just screams that, yeah, Eastern games in general are just whooping the shit out of Western games. Which, surprise, surprise, no one should be honestly surprised about this result at all. But at the very same time, this just screams to the West industry. What are you doing? People are not giving two shits about your games and whatever bullshit agenda you got in them. Literally make things that actually matter with passion and feeling, bitch. That's essentially, what we kind of got going on here. And then when you really, really think about it, it's like, why do we have 3 gacha games out here? Why is this the case? And I feel like a lot of people, especially recently, have not been really thinking about the gacha scene too much and just these type of games, because it's like, oh, these are just live service. These are, games that has microtransactions and stuff like that. No one cares about these type of games and things of sort like that. And I'll be like, well, that's clearly not true, considering how much money they get raked in a lot of the damn time. And then that also brought a question into my brain, which is like, for me in, specifically Genshin, why do people still play this damn game? Why is that the case? And I was really looking into it, different videos by different people, even got hit with a whole TikTok where people were just commenting on why they still play the game, and lots of people kind of jump into this consistently, mainly for 3 things: story, characters, and essentially just like the overall game itself, whether it's exploration or things you can do in the game and stuff like that. And that's essentially what people are mainly hyper focused on when it comes to this stuff, and that's not really surprising at all, right? Again, we really look at this perspective of the current industry. Would you rather A, wait on a game for 3 years, 5 years to come out just to get that one experience, and then that's basically it once you feel done with the game? B, would you rather play a game from the Western side of the industry that's basically going to preach to you about morals and things of sort like that, how to be human, when you already know what your mind is and what you decided on and things and stuff like that regarding life in general, you don't need a damn game to tell you otherwise? Or C, play a game that's actually pretty consistent in game series or game genre, that's actually pretty consistent in what their characters are doing and what the story is doing and things of sort like that, while giving you an overall fun experience that you can play a lot of the time and get updates every so often. I'm pretty sure a lot of people would choose C, and people have chose C for 4 years, right? Like, I'll keep it very much a stack. Genshin, for me personally, is my first real gacha experience to anything. Yes, I know Kingdom Hearts had the whole, Dark Road and, I guess like Union Cross and Unchained Key before it was turned into Union Cross. But honestly, I never spent a dollar on those games because I didn't even know what the hell it really was and all this stuff. I very much was green to all that. But when it comes down to it though, like, I wouldn't really consider that to be like the true gacha experience, to be actually involved in it, outside of me just wanting to learn what the hell happens in these games, which a lot happens. Dear gosh, why was all down a mobile game? But at the very same time, when it comes to Genshin, I was very much intrigued to try this because of the concept of, oh, this shit's free, which that also helps out a lot of instances of, like, why people could honestly try this stuff, because it's free, right? At least when you get into the game to play it. Yeah, you got the whole microtransaction part of like buying skins, which Genshin don't really have that many of. Buying like, crystals so you can wish on characters and weapons and stuff. Like, yeah, there is that part. But honestly, I personally don't feel pressured to buy anything, right? Unless I'm just trying to build up, some type of like primo gems for the game just so I can, get a certain character, or try to save up for them when that time comes. That's pretty much it. And even then, I'm not really spending like a ridiculous amount of money. I'm just buying like a Welkin every now and again, and I don't even buy them that often. If you just explore the game, you'll find enough to get you a fair amount of primogens to do what you want. And then when they add other map expansions, you're also going to get still a lot of primogens from that. So it's not like you need to necessarily buy anything from the game. It's not really that big of a deal, at least in my personal opinion. Now granted, other people come into the games for other goals. They want to get every character and every weapon. They want to go ahead and max out their characters and all that type of stuff. And there's plenty of different rabbit holes that you gotta think about and remember that kind of goes into these type of games. Which, yeah, their main point is that, yeah, for money purposes, they want you to spend to buy characters, to hopefully get characters and stuff like that. And that's kind of how it is, and get constellations or whatever. But at the very same time, that's not the whole thing of the game. It's not just that. They legit want you to play the game. Like, if you want people just to, randomly spend money, they could do that with anything, right? They can go to a damn strip club. Don't know why you would do that. You can't even get some ass. But at the very same time, you could definitely do that and then waste your time there. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to, be anything in particular. But they want you to play that game and spend time with that game too. Which is a whole nother thing. It's like a time commitment thing too, that a lot of people kind of put in. And that's why you get people that's like super addicted to the story, like I am. I want to see what the hell the ending is, right? Because obviously, I'm 4 years in. There's no way I'm about to just not know what the hell happens in the end after 4 years of being stuck with this damn cast of characters. I definitely want to see where this goes, right? And again, the game itself, there's like other factors that you can look at too, because I'll keep it very much a stack. When I first saw Genshin, what was the main reason as to, why I got into the game? And I said this before, and I made a whole video dedicated to it, to a certain character. It's because of Amber's ass. I'm not joking. She literally just said, what's that over there? While swinging that fine ass booty just through the damn horizon. Honestly, it was crazy how much cheeked up that character had when I first saw the trailer for it during like a PlayStation showcase or whatever. And I was just confused, but I was also perplexed. And I was also like, damn, what game is this again? So that was easily the beginning reason as to why. But then as you kind of just get into the game, you start looking around at the environment, especially once you travel to Leeway and just start looking around the area and the environment and stuff, you're just like, damn, how is this game looking this damn good? How is this possible, right? And it's actually interesting, and it's not just a shitty anime game, right? Because for most people, experiences before Genshin, it was like, yeah, there's like a lot of shitty anime games besides like Dragon Ball games. That's kind of all we had, like Dragon Ball and Naruto games that were like the only things that was like standouts. Besides that, we didn't really have much of anything else too much. Jump Force was kind of shitty, they didn't have all the characters that we were looking for like J-Stars had, and didn't really cash in the way they should. But when it comes down to it though, it was just like, damn, an anime game or an anime looking aesthetic game that actually hits well and does what it does pretty damn decently? Pretty surprising. And yes, obviously they had the influence of, Breath of the Wild and gameplay mechanics like that, but people that played Breath of the Wild also went and played this too. So there's also that type of exchange to kind of look at as well. But going back to the experience of playing it for the first time, I'm not gonna lie, I have never felt lost playing a video game ever. Like exploring a world and then trying to make my way throughout the place, trying to see what everything is and all that type of stuff. I have never felt genuinely lost ever in a game. And that is the first time in a video game where it's like, holy shit, there is so much of the map, I don't know where to go. I'm literally walking around this place. Every time I take a step to some other place, it ends up being something new and I haven't seen before. And it's just like, what the hell is all this stuff? I didn't see this shit. Why is it so much here? I don't know where Leeway actually is. I'm confusing these damn mountain ranges. Like, that's how I was feeling when I was playing the game for the first time. And I even said out loud, like, how the hell is this game free? This shit feels like a quadruple A game. That's how I felt at the time of that. And then obviously, people playing it at the time and still now must somewhat feel the same way a little bit. Because, I mean, they made bank the first year. They have. When you really look at it, they made more money than PlayStation's entire division when the game came out that year. That first year. And then now they hit like $5 billion overall, which they are the fastest mobile game to do so now. Which that says something. That tells you how many people are still playing this damn game for whatever reason it is, right? And it's also within these 4 years to kind of just look more into the future. It's also nice just to play a game that isn't again what the West has and designed to do. You wanna know why Marvel Rivals is a game that people are really hyped up about right now? Granted, who knows how long it will last, but you wanna know why people are hyped up about it? Because it's not adding that weird bullshit. It's not trying to add any type of inclusion or diversity and have a heavy focus in that. Is the in-game models of the characters all good looking? Debatable. You wouldn't debate on that? Sure. The art style does help it, but like, it definitely is debatable. Personally, I'm not the biggest losing my literal nuts over Squirrel Girl's design. Not really, if I'm gonna be absolutely honest, but there is thickness and stuff there that's like, yeah, let's see a Western dev do this shit. Squirrel Girl gonna look like a ratchet ass bitch before, anything else, for sure, right? And then really looking at the, just the characters in general in that game, just like, damn, they look better than what the West could do. And that's just kind of how it is, right? Personally, I'm more in favor of like Scarlet Witch, honestly. I'm not gonna necessarily lie, because Scarlet Witch looking mad fine. Like, I never looked at Scarlet Witch ever in life, ever. But this is the one game that's like, damn, Scarlet Witch she kind of got it on her, though. I ain't gonna necessarily cap. Is she perfect for her model? Not really. But at the very same time, still, she looks better than what anybody else could probably come up with, if I'm gonna be honest. And that's kind of like the thing. These Chinese games, these Japanese games, and these Korean games, they are not looking at the perspective of, oh, we need to add this type of trope of character, or this type of thing, and kind of just be inclusive and all that type of stuff. They're not adding that shit to add inclusivity and all that stuff to the game. They're adding shit that people want to see. They're fun shit that makes characters look good, to make them feel like they're actually characters that you can actually get behind. And that's why it's like, oh, you can easily see why the gacha space is like enjoyable, why it's honestly really good. Sure, the community might suck ass, but it's still enjoyable for the most part. And honestly, obviously, like, you're not gonna play every single gacha game and be stuck with it. Like, personally, for me, as fun as ZZZ was and how much I was glazing it, I'm not gonna necessarily lie, I'm not really caring too much to play ZZZ. It's kind of like, I'll come back to it whenever I feel like there's some good reason to, but I haven't really been playing ZZZ as hard as I thought it would. It just hasn't really been a game that I would say really fully captured my attention like Genshin has. And mainly because I guess Genshin been around longer and I've been more used to Genshin as well. But it's also like other stuff too. But when it comes down to it though, would I say overall ZCZ is a bad game? No. It's just personally I kind of got tired of playing it for real, right? Like I still log in every single like occasional time, but it's not like an everyday occasion like Genshin is to me. Because yes, I do play Genshin at least for like an hour or two every single day, because yeah, well, there's like shit to do, and it's fun. And honestly, I enjoy just looking at the damn game itself and exploring shit and all that other stuff too, right? And going back to the whole trope of characters, like even if you look at Genshin with their characters, are everybody gonna be like a hit for you? Probably not. But I care more for the characters in this damn game probably than any other game for the last like 4 years or so, right? Like the only game that I would say personally I could give a shit about maybe is like potentially like a Stellar Blade, even though I never played it. A Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is absolutely good, and that's a fun ass game. And then like maybe like a few other things I could think of, but still mainly Genshin's gonna be like the main focus of shit. That's just how it is. And granted, while I'm glazing up the hell out of these live service games and Genshin as a whole, that doesn't necessarily mean everything needs to be that, right? That really doesn't work like that, right? You still need AAA regular single games because at the end of the day, that's kind of like where your main force of your money can come from if you really play it right, you know. And the reason why I'm like that is because, well, you can have live service games, but then not all of them is going to click, and not all of them is going to have players consistently wanting to play that. If you put up a whole single player game, then yes, people are going to play that, and people are going to enjoy the shit out of that, right? That's clearly obvious with like Final Fantasy 16, 7, and like plenty of other games as well that's recently came out. You can make something work, and then once those games come out, yeah, you're gonna put that gacha game down for 5 seconds because you really want to play Final Fantasy 7. You want to play FF16, or in the future, whenever the hell we get a damn update, hopefully tomorrow, I would like to hope. But when Kingdom Hearts 4 comes out, best believe, bitch, I'm putting the damn brakes on Genshin until I get the chance to play that shit for sure. Cause I'm not gonna lie, Kingdom Hearts means more to me than Genshin does. But that being said, once I get my time in with Kingdom Hearts and feel satisfied playing everything and being it to the highest extent I want to, I'm going right back to Genshin. Because now I'm just going to wait for the next installment and the next game I want to play after that I can hopefully afford. And that's another thing. Games are so expensive now, it's like, shit, might as well play a free-to-play game. Because at least it's not going to whoop my ass in the wallet department and I can control myself when it comes to money and stuff. But I really think overall, it's just a simple conclusion of people want to play games that are fun, they want to care for characters that actually matter, and then they want to see a story that actually isn't trying to just be a preachy lesson to them, right? I think that's the whole point of why people still play Genshin hard as hell. And granted, with the whole thing of Natlan, with the current stuff that's going on, definitely is not my favorite because it's definitely hard to understand how like the whole death and resurrection stuff works. Yeah, we got information like Renova and all that type of stuff, and how the whole curse of the Conrians came about, at least in some shape and form, and all that type of stuff. And we can kind of put context clues to where things is, where other things go into the story and stuff. But definitely there is a bit of confusion of when it comes to at least the Natlan section of the resurrection, like how to why make it work, the ancient names and stuff like that. Not really a big fan of that shit. The war was excellent, but everything else not really a big fan on. You know, Malavika's great. Still want to know how Malavika is gonna play everything in the next part of the story, but we'll see when we get to that bridge, honestly. But still, regardless though, that doesn't necessarily mean that, oh, Genshin is ass or anything. It just, this is one of those patches where it's kind of just like, it kind of is what it is, It's not necessarily the greatest thing. Not like last year with Fontaine, because Fontaine was just absolutely amazing. Probably the best part of Genshin in the entirety of the game, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, essentially, not everything's gonna be hidden in, gonna be really a proper time with the game. But at the very same time, it doesn't mean that the game is absolute shit, because it's just like one small, don't really care for that type of area of the game, versus like the other good shit that has happened, right? And again, these games have been hidden consistently for years. It's like, oh, it's no effing surprise. I want to just jump into this junk like it's some freshly made vagina pie. Like, of course I want to jump into that. Who wouldn't want to jump into some freshly made vagina pie? Unless you don't go that way, then okay, I guess that's you then. But when it comes down to it though, it's just the fact that simply that people like, again, stories, characters, and the game itself. You're not gonna sell people on graphics. You ain't gonna sell people on inclusion and representation because it can't represent everybody. Not everybody cares about graphics to the highest detail. Like your game can play like shit and look like Undertale, but at the very same time, it's still gonna be a good ass game if you care about everything else that's supposed to be cared about. So overall, that is basically the reason why I and plenty of other people still play Genshin to this damn day. Again, you don't have to like the fact that the player's voice is the way it is, and definitely there's part about it that I don't agree with, but at the very same time, you should also look at this from a perspective of, I wonder why people do play these games, and really think about it for 5 seconds, because lots of people will just shit on you just because you play Genshin, and I feel like that's absolutely unfair, right? You can shit on the community because, you know, community can be weird at times, but I do feel like there is a bit of unfairness because, oh, you play a gacha game and so it shouldn't be taken seriously, when no, they made a gacha game, you play it, and the reason why you play it is because it's a gacha game done well, or it's a gacha game that at least entertains you. And that's how it is. This Genshin had the best combat and the best like movability and all that type of stuff. Not compared to other games, not really, but it does what it does well, and that's why people can still continue to play it, right? And as long as they continue to move in that direction, they'll be perfectly fine. You know, they're not influenced by the West or anything like that. They're not in a situation where Japan is kind of getting, you know, hard pressed in all angles by the West to do all this other stuff. They're kind of just in their own groove. And if Japan want to be on the same damn boat to kind of get what they want, then they kind of need to follow the footsteps of kind of what Korea and China is doing. That's kind of doing your own damn thing and not really concerning yourself with the global standard of everybody else, right? Because even in China, like, their main focus is like the Chinese audience, obviously, right? Especially for Hoyoverse, because they just hard focus on them, like extremely hard focus on them. So it's not really that surprising. But that's essentially what I wanted to say for this one, so hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on your outs. Also, let me know in the comments, what do you think about this whole damn thing? If you care about Genshin like that, let me know. Am I in the right? Am I in the wrong? Slap me, call me a bitch, or something of the sort like that. That's actually pretty damn hurtful, but I don't care. But anyway, point is, let me know in the comments what you just genuinely think about the whole situation. But at the very same time, also go ahead and look at the socials and then go ahead and follow me there. Also go ahead and hit up the Kofi and Cash App if you'd like to help me live. So that's a whole nother thing too. And with all that being said, until then, it's your boy Jay, signing off. Have a blessed day.